Holy
Oh,
shit.
sorry, that's probably outside my house.
Why do
Yeah,
I
I
hear
hear that
birds
too.
squawking exactly?
Yeah.
Get the shotgun out.
I don't know. This feels kind of weird though because I got Phil here, but welcome everybody to Fat Kings Friday for June 26th. I am Andrew VSG Spike.
And I am Walter B. Sleeve, something like that, this week. I don't know what I am.
You're the dark sleeve.
I'm the Dark Sleeve. I don't know if you could see me, but yes, I am Walter B. Sleeve, VSG Warrior, something like that. And we are two big dudes chewing the fat, trying to get lean. And tonight is our what do you want to call this? Is this really like is this a
I
series
just called it
finale?
the summer break finale. I mean, we're gonna take a few months off and
Okay, so
you know.
the network is going to renew the show? Is the network?
I
Exactly.
guarantee you're being picked up again next year.
Oh, we are? All right, good. We have our producer, our esteemed producer, Phil Olson.
You are picked up. I have the lawyers have called. You're good.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, so we got a renewal from our sponsors over at Quest Bar and IsoPure. As long as Jim Haney it has some on camera, then we're good to go.
Yeah, so we will sponsor you guys. I'm going to be sending you cases and cases of this wonderful, amazing ISO puke, as I call it.
You know what the thing with IsoPure is? Like, you find everybody has one flavor they can tolerate. And they like it.
It's
There's
the great shit.
Everybody likes one flavor. Then
Yeah, I think
all the other
mine
ones are
was
like
grape.
turtle piss. They're terrible.
Well, I had my first one a couple of weeks ago when we did when the last time Walter and I were on, and I tolerated it. It's definitely not something I'm going to go to every time, especially when it's like fucking like $5 a bottle. But
how cold was it when you drank it?
It was ice cold.
Okay, that makes a big difference.
I also poured it. I poured it into. I had a cup full of ice, so I kept it cold the whole time.
He poured it into his ass.
Yeah, if you boost it, it works much better. You get a lot more protein out of it that way.
Yeah.
Better absorption.
Yeah. That's what they do in Gitmo. Nothing? Nothing for torture? Sorry.
I liked it. I loved it.
You don't need a waterboard with someone with fucking ISO.
With IsoPure.
Just drinking the shit itself is torture.
Waterboard them with IsoPure. That's pretty good. Up your nose, that would be bad. Yeah.
Oh, that would be so wrong.
Oh, I'll tell you anything.
No more of that shit.
So, we don't. Do we need to give the one of the weight loss surgeries power couples? Do they need an introduction? I mean, it's
maybe an introduction. You need an introductory into giving introductions.
I guess so. Apparently, I need a primer into primers.
You put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
But it is both Haneys. We are blessed with not just one Haney, but two Haneys for the price of one. Thank you guys for coming on.
We're getting paid for this shit?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Where's
cool.
the check?
Yeah, you
Where's
get a
my
scale.
case of
IsoPure. Here in luck.
No, exactly.
You get a case of IsoPure.
No, you're not getting 2 cases of IsoPure. You're getting 2 hand jobs for the price of 1 at OH.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh,
wow.
Wow, okay.
Awesome.
That doesn't mean it's coming from me.
You're
You're not getting 1 from me. You're just getting 2 from Walter.
So. Oh shit! I was thinking you were gonna handle the lower end, and Walter was gonna cover the tip, the helmet.
I'm gonna cup the balls.
What will Mrs. Haney be doing?
What's that now?
What will Mrs. Haney be doing at that point?
Disappearing.
We'll have to go get some drinks.
I'm all running off with all the girls and
I
have
can't
some
let a
drinks.
lady stay alone. I mean,
No, she's filming.
filming.
Yeah,
Right.
she's gonna have her camera
HD.
going. That's YouTube worthy shit.
Oh, YouTube, man. No, that's straight RedTube action. Nothing? Wow, seriously?
You wait to a place that we all have to pretend like we don't know what that is. Well, what do you mean? I don't understand.
What is this?
Hang on, I'll be right back.
I need to research.
I use the bathroom. I gotta check this out. I'll be right back.
But no, yeah. So we're doing a kind of get together here for our for the finale. We're gonna take a few months off and then pick back up here right before our favorite topic OH kicks off and go from there. Tanya is watching for once. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. She's been back. She hadn't been on here for a few months. I know she's been busy with Phil on the that evil. Apparently we're kind of at each other's odds, and
When you say she's been busy with Phil, you really need to be specific because
She's been busy
That can
being a
cause a lot of
part
trouble.
of 50
thank
Shades
you.
of maintenance with Phil. Yes.
Oh, much better.
Yeah. Context. I apologize. I'll bring the context.
And you don't want to
Yes.
start all those horrible rumors.
Right. Exactly.
The community latches onto the little things, and they go.
Good point. Good point. So, Phil, how have you been? I know we were talking a little bit before the show. How have things been going?
Well, I've been trying to get people to kill themselves with my videos, and that's been going pretty good. No, so far so good. No, actually, late breaking news. I will break it here on FatKings. Bring back the audience. Okay. Come on, Walter. This is your chance. That's just in.
A FatKings exclusive.
So I finally got I got a third contract on my house. We all know the third time is the charm. And this lady didn't want any cash. I actually got 2 contracts at the same time, so it was kind of a semi-bidding war. But the first one came in kind of weak, and I was pushing back on them. So I sent the same, to be a good guy, and this is where I screw myself usually, I sent the same offer back to both people. I said, first one to accept it gets it. So the lady I was hoping would accept it took it. She's pretty flexible, no contingencies, no no warranties, no anything. I mean, this lady's being totally open, and so I'm gonna make sure that no matter what comes up in that inspection on Tuesday, if it's small stuff, I'm just gonna handle it, call it a day, and let it go and be done with this. And so by the 27th, I will be moving out of here into storage, and then into an apartment, and then waiting for my new house to be built. So that's forward progress. I'll take it. I will take it.
Congrats, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, and I was telling him I feel your joy because I know we're finally finishing up on the on getting the townhouse sold. So no more Pink Palace. That is been months gone, but we're finally getting that sold and getting a contract. So hopefully we're closing on that here in the next 3 weeks or so, hopefully. But yeah, we just moved again into our own apartment now. It's awesome. I'm literally 10 miles away from my office. It's so freaking nice. I can get home at like 5:15 and don't have to mess with that damn traffic anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. I lived in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and I used to commute like 2 hours each way. If I took the train, it was an hour and a half, so I was saving an hour each day. And when I moved here, you get a little spoiled because I had to commute to the other side of the freeway. Which, if you have to cross the freeway in Colorado Springs, that's a problem. That is the biggest problem you have. So now I got a job on the same side, so it takes 15 minutes to get to and from work. It's awesome. So I can appreciate the. There are advantages to moving to places that are a little bit more remote, so I appreciate that.
Where are you from, Phil, originally?
I lived in Fremont, California, which is a little bit north of San Jose.
I know exactly. I'm from San Jose, so.
Hey, San Jose. I went to school there, the San Jose State University.
Oh, cool. Yeah, my sister went there.
Yeah, I got my degree there, and then I worked at KSJO Radio. I worked at the San Jose Mercury News. I worked at Night Rider Digital, so I'm a San Jose boy pretty much. So.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Southside.
I went several years back to San Francisco area for my cousin's wedding, and he and his wife live in Menlo Park.
There was a straight wedding in San Francisco?
There was a straight wedding in San Francisco.
He didn't say it was.
Shocker.
He didn't say it.
He didn't say it was straight. He said it was his cousin's wedding.
That's true. But you said a man married a woman, so I just went for it.
Yes, it was a man marrying a woman. Yeah.
That's true. Okay. Just checking.
Like, that whole area is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, that's so nice.
And my brother was a firefighter up in Tiburon, and it's like rich people central up there, and Marin County, and but there's one little pocket of the hood, even up there. I mean, there's always got to be a good pocket of the hood, because you got to have that culture, and like, the Bay Area is full of that. Like, it's really good. That's the one thing I do miss about the Bay Area is like you can go to Indian, you can go to, I mean, not so much so I can eat so much anymore, but Mexican, you can go to all these great restaurants, a lot of zest, a lot of flavor, a lot of culture all around you. Where you work, you're working with different kinds of people. I do miss that. Luckily, the company I work with now is very culturally diverse as well, but it's very unusual for here. Like, this place is very white bread. I mean, it is too white bread for me, but luckily I work in a place that's not so much, because a lot of people move here from Cleveland, et cetera, et cetera. So, but yeah, the Bay Area is cool in that respect, but man, you better got some dough. You better got some dough. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's why he moved
That's why
here
I'm
from
here,
California, because it's too
We
expensive.
never be able to afford this. Our home, equivalent home in California, would be over $2 million easily, which
That's
is ridiculous.
My buddy used to pay what I pay per year in property taxes, he would pay per month. I shit you not.
Yeah,
Bad.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Unfreaking real. No, talking about white bread. I mean, that's I'm in the middle of West Virginia.
Yeah, you're pretty much doomed. You're pretty much doomed. Now, Walter, I know you live in a very diverse.
He is the melting pot of them all out in NYC, man.
That's right. That's how we do.
And I want to give you a compliment, brother, because I want to point out, not that I'm tooting my own horn, but about a year ago, I had mentioned Walter in one of my videos. I said, you got to watch this guy, Walter. This guy, Walter's going to kill it. He's going to do great. It was actually 1 year from my goal date. I remember this.
Oh, really?
Seeing you. But then you brought us Felix. So I got to say, our boy, Pachito Bear, I got big hopes for him next.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm rooting for him too, man. He's close too. He's almost he's like a month away from surgery.
Sweet.
He's like 3 weeks away. And I haven't done an update, but I'm 255. So
Damn, that's awesome.
I'm 5 pounds away from my first quote unquote goal. So I'm down 245 pounds.
Wow.
Awesome.
Congrats.
That's unreal, man.
Stop eating those damn Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
Have you gone to eating the Tic Tacs? Is that why it's slowed down?
Yeah, I had one Tic Tac.
Yeah. That'll do it.
It derailed me.
Yeah.
But the sleeve, that's a hell of an achievement. I mean, and to your point, Jim, too. I mean, you've lost a shit ton of weight.
He's like what did you lose? Like 350, right, Jim?
Yep.
Yeah, he's my guru. He's my hero. I'd like to be done,
but yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to try to get it down to I'd like to try to get it down to like a little like 220s, 225 maybe. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going and see how far.
I bet at the rate you're going, you'll do that in about a month.
Yeah, but I've decided by Mr. Olsen himself there, my Jedi Master, and I'm going to actually celebrate that 250 mark. I'm gonna even though I want to go further, and I'm gonna take a minute and celebrate it and try to enjoy it a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, so you basically lost half your weight, right? I mean,
yeah,
didn't you start at 500?
Yeah, that'll be it.
You're half the man you used to be, so.
Getting there, almost.
Dude, the bottom line is you double your lifespan. I mean, you really have to think about it that way. I mean, there's no guarantee you don't get hit by a bus, but you aren't gonna have a freaking heart attack. You know, your chances, you literally statistically have cut your chances of dropping dead from a heart attack, stroke, etc. by half. That's crazy. You got to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, like, and for Walter and I being that big, I would say the more important thing is, at least for me anyway, it wasn't just a health aspect. It was the being able to actually participate in life. It was quality of life that is vastly improved I know for both of us, because at 500-600 pounds, you can't do a whole lot of shit. I mean, you're not going to be hanging out with friends. You're not going to be, going to the amusement park. You're not going to be doing a lot of things that you would like to do, living life, doing anything that you wanted to do. You were basically limited by your mobility and your size with everything. And I know, most morbidly obese people are limited, but when you get to be a certain size, the field gets very narrow as far as to what you can do and what you're able to do and where you can go, what restaurants you can go to, anything,
Yeah,
I think in that respect, I kind of cheated it, man. I really did, because not cheated it, but I was right on the cusp of that. Like a 332, I could still go to the gym, I could still do shit. I couldn't get better,
right.
But I could do one. So I could go get I could knee board at 270, but when I got up to 332, I had to give that up. I could snow ski at 332, but
Right.
not so controlled. You know, I mean, you're right. As you get higher and higher, you just lose more and more and more. So
Yep.
It's funny you mentioned that, Phil, because that's actually where I've been for like the past month. I've been in like the low 330s. Where with like this move and packing and transitioning, I have unfortunately been paying less attention to everything else. So I mean, I guess I can't get mad at myself because I've been staying consistent. I haven't really posted an update in like a month maybe, but for that month I haven't gained. So I'm fine with that. And then just this past week, I never posted an update, but all of a sudden, shit, I lost 6 pounds. I'm down to 325. So, I'm going to take that and kind of, try and keep that momentum going. But I mean, we've had a lot of other things going on, but I do feel like, I'm at that kind of cusp where there are certain things I feel I can certainly do, but there's a lot of things I know that, I'm trying to get down to that 250 range myself, that it will allow me to finally do a lot of the stuff that I want to go back and do. And you mentioned, I think, excuse me, Jim, you mentioned like going out with friends and going like the one thing I want to do is when I get down to a proper weight is I want to go back and go on roller coasters. I'm going to go to an amusement park and not have to worry about, well, I can ride this one, but I can't ride this one. I'm going to be able to say, fuck it, I can go and ride whatever I want.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get back to Sandusky and go to Cedar Point and kick some ass.
Yeah. It's the small things that are that are really kind of important and a big deal. It seems like it's a small thing to be able to say. I remember I got so big that booths were a no-no, and so were chairs with arms on them, right? But once I got to like 400 pounds, you can't do booths or pretty much chairs with arms, like on the side. So you're very limited to like what restaurants you go to, and you basically, or you just have to wait. You have to say, we need a table, of course, and I need a chair that doesn't have the arms on the side if you have any. And there were some restaurants where you had to ask for like to have them go get a special chair for you because they didn't have those. It's embarrassing,
No, and you're right. And I used to have that is something you mentioned that because that was something I had a problem with where we would always mention that we had to have a table. But even at this point where I'm at now, in like the 320s, 330 range, I'm fine where we can go and wherever they seat us, we have no problem. So I mean that's a big a big plus for me.
Now we're the opposite. We don't want tables because they're so bony they hurt your butt. So now you only want a booth.
The booths are far more comfortable, absolutely.
Exactly. We're like, no tables, we'll wait for a booth.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny you say that, Andrew, because like at 330, I didn't need the seatbelt extender. Now I'm pretty sure you're at that point because I know you work out, to your capacity. Like your capacity at 330, you can do more than you could have ever done before. And like I was working out hard at 330. As hard as I could, and I never got to the needing the seatbelt extender thing. I always made it, just barely. But like you're probably in that fit 330, which sounds crazy probably to a normie. Sorry, I don't use that word anymore. A normal weight person. But there is a difference between being a fit 330 and just like completely, like to Jim's point, you can't do anything kind of 330. And like you really probably have, with all the walking you've been doing and the activities I've seen you doing, are probably in a good spot right now, man. I mean, I'm proud of both of you guys. I think you guys have done exactly what I saw you were going to do. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that. And to that point, yeah, I mean, I have been trying to, my activity has adjusted since I've moved out here. But what was funny is, coincidentally today, Ryan messaged me while I was at work. She said, all right, she found the YMCA in the area and found out what the rate was, and she already sent me the schedule for open laps at the pool. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm ready to rock it at the pool. The hours are even better than they used to be back when I was in Northern Virginia. So I'm going to be able to, swim laps at the pool a hell of a lot more because I'm also going to be a hell of a lot closer. I don't have to worry about getting an hour, being in the car for an hour, then getting to the gym, then getting home. I'll be to the gym in like 20 minutes. So it's going to be like it's just that much more of an advantage. So now that we're finally kind of settling in and or almost done with our unpacking, we can start to refocus on that, and I can get back in with that heavier activity and lifting that I used to love to do months ago that I just haven't had the chance to do.
Can I hijack a second to ask Jim a question here and just say, Jim, and I know I'm noticing this, but I want to kind of get another veteran's kind of POV. Do you notice that stress affects your weight differently? Because I think with Andrew moving and everything, all the stress he's going through, I think that he's going to probably see those kinds of stalls. But did you notice that at all?
I think early on, there wasn't a whole lot, honestly, early on that affected my weight. I mean, I think what stress and what other things affect is actually your hormones, which also affect your eating, and all those things can all be involved. Stress, if you're not getting enough sleep, that's also involved with weight loss, right? With all your hormonal levels, your cortisol levels, and things like that, right? But with me, what was weird with me is I got into a car accident probably. Yeah, well, I was already at goal, but it was weird. So I was stuck in a wheelchair for 6 months, almost 6 months, right, with my leg like in an immobilizer. I was in a shattered tibial plateau, right? And my depression, actually, before when I got depressed, when I just had to sit at home and just kind of moping at home, my go-to thing was to eat, right? And just kind of eat out of boredom, eat out of whatever, just depressed, right? The weird thing is that I had the opposite, where I actually lost weight. That was when I actually got to my lowest. I was in the chair. I lost 20 pounds in a month. Just sitting there, and I thought I was still eating the same way and everything, but I think it was just a little bit. I'm sure it was muscle atrophy, but a lot of it was people said, "Dude, you're getting real skinny." Like my face got real gaunt then, and I was like, to me, it was like I'm assuming it was depression. I just kind of like went the opposite way. So I think I handle things differently now. Like with stress, I don't always eat or do things like I used to with stress now. I think maybe I've learned a different coping mechanisms, I guess. But yeah, definitely with stress, it will affect your weight. I mean, like I said, and so all those different ways, the sleep patterns being off, just the stress, just you may be eating and stress eating and doing things that you don't even notice, I mean, I call it food amnesia. You eat something during the day and if you're not tracking every single thing that goes in your mouth, you might not even notice. And when you're upset and stressed, that's another thing you don't pay attention to, is what you're eating. So, but yes, stress definitely can affect your weight either way. Some people lose weight when they get stressed. Some people gain weight. Some people, like you said, they stall out when they get stressed, especially early out. So.
And I think that's kind of where I'm at this point, where I've stalled out for a good portion of time, where I haven't been tracking. But I don't feel like I've been stressed. I've been just really, really busy. I've had a lot. I've been, I guess for lack of a better term, distracted, where I've had a lot of other things, focusing my attention on other things. I haven't been necessarily thinking as much on the eating aspect, which thankfully now that we're finally starting to get more settled, I'll have that opportunity to really refocus. I mean, and thankfully, whether I would have, no matter what would have happened, whether I would have lost or like I said, been maintaining as I have been, or even if I gained, it wouldn't have been something that would have deterred me or discouraged me. I mean, because I realized that I haven't been paying attention, so it's of my own doing, regardless of where I'm at. So I mean, to that, thankfully, I've been, sticking to the same weight that I have been.
Right.
So all I know that basically tells me that once I refocus my efforts, I'm gonna keep losing, because I'll be doing more than I have been doing, and what I've already been doing has at least been keeping me at the same level. So I'm only going to improve from there.
Right, and that goes back to, like I said, it's not just the stress. I think it's whenever you're going through something major like that. Like I said, it's a work issue. It's moving, obviously, is a big deal, and all just the stress, but also, like you said, to me, I think a lot of what throws people off track is getting off their normal schedule. If you're not getting up at the same time, if you're not packing your lunches for work, if you're not working the same hours at the same job, and having your normal weekend, and all these things that we do normally. I think that's a real big thing is being consistent. I think is what keeps the weight loss and everything going and keeping maintenance going. It's when you have these inconsistencies in your life, like for instance, so she's off working out because she's had foot surgery. So
yeah, 8 weeks, and it's been hell. And
yeah,
crashing
and
into boredom and just
exactly.
not giving a damn. To be
And
honest, I want to walk and run so bad.
Her schedule of like work is she's not working right now, so it's like we're both home bored, and because I'm the same thing, I just have my foot issues too, and I'm not working right now, so it's like we don't have the same schedule. Normally, it's shop on the weekend. Get the food for the week, meal prep for the week. I have all these meals prepped, and I did it this time because we're kind of getting back on track now. But it was like we haven't been doing meal prep. We haven't been, what I mean? So it's like it's really easy to get off track, especially when you're not doing your regular routine. And that happens when you move. That happens when you change jobs, all of that.
Yeah, Miss Haney, I was going to ask you the same question. So is your stress is it something that you, to Jim's point, do you lose? Do you gain? Do you stall out? Anything that you're noticing at all? Or
to me, I've gained because I am obsessed with working out in the gym and not working out in the gym and not. I almost got depressed and quit tracking and just be honest, didn't give a hell damn. Just started eating whenever I wanted, and I know it's wrong, but it's one of those. I just got in a slump because I've never been in a wheelchair. I've never not been able to walk, and this has been hell. So now that I'm up and walking a little bit and can do a little bit more physical therapy, it motivates you a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. When I stressed over the wedding, I didn't eat. So I guess it kind of just depends on what the stress is. So in that stress, I lost weight, where with this stress, I've gained because I can't physically walk. I can't physically do anything. So
most of the hell has been that she's had to be with me, like.
Pretty much, I've been stuck in the house with him for 10 weeks. That'll make you drink.
I gain weight too.
Oh, that'll drive you to go absolutely batshit crazy, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Walter, you're no stranger to stress. You want to chime in?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's pretty much what they said. I mean, everybody's different. Some people lose and some people gain, and I just feel like I've been blessed in a lot of ways. Like I mean, I've had some family stress and things, and obviously, the death of my father and everything took over, and there's been a lot of things on this particular journey that were there. But I think it was that life altering thing, that event that made things just, I don't know, easier for me in a way. It kind of made me focus in a way that I never focused before because my family needs me in a different way. Everything has changed, and I also started to feel like, hey, this is my last shot. Like if I'm gonna actually go through with this surgery, I got to give it everything I got. And I just, there's no way. I just, failure was not an option. Like there's no way. Like I wanted to be a failure at this because I failed many times before. But so. I don't even though it's just funny because I'm trying to answer the question, but I don't feel stressed. I mean, I feel under stress, but I don't feel stressed out. Like, so I just feel like the surgery and this part of my life is actually the easy part. In not that it's an easy way out, but in a sense that it kind of governs itself. If I just listen to my body, if I just if I honestly quit when I'm hungry, when I'm not hungry, and if I stop, and if I just don't eat again, give it a couple of hours. I mean, that's the hard thing I think for everybody is like, yeah, they tell you to wait 30 minutes before you can drink, but sometimes if you're not paying attention, in about an hour or an hour and a half, you might be tempted to eat again. And I really try to wait 3 hours before I eat again. If it was something of substance, if it was just like, jerky or something, maybe I'll eat in an hour and a half or so. But so, I mean, I just feel like the surgery has made such a difference in my life. And I was actually going to do an update about this, but I really feel for the first time in my life, I honestly feel quote unquote normal in my relationship with food. It's gotten to a point where I'm comfortable with the amount I can eat. And I'm still early out, so it's a little bit different for me. I'm sure from a veteran standpoint, when you can eat a lot more in one sitting, it may be more difficult to keep your hands on the wheel. But for me, I'm comfortable with the amount of food I can eat, and I'm comfortable with the amount of calories I have in a day. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I'm not really struggling with hunger per se. So for the first time in my life, like the major stress in my life was always this vicious cycle of failing and losing weight, and now I really feel at peace in a way that I've never felt before. In terms of like, I don't think about food all day long. I don't think about like, oh God, like, I don't have the same guilt when it comes to food and all those other things that go on mentally. And I think that was probably one of the biggest stresses in my life, and it seems to have been removed, at least for now. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That was just really cool to hear. I mean, when you said it being at peace with like food and really, you know, it feels like to me like the way that you described it is you finally have the upper hand where a lot of times food would dictate you and control you, where now the roles reversed. You really have that control. You have that upper hand to where you know yourself and you've learned enough and developed enough. That was just had to chime in. That's awesome.
Food completely controlled my life. I mean, I've talked about it in my early videos. And I actually want to wait until this July 4th to do a response to my last July 4th, which was exactly what I asked for. Will I ever get freedom? I was asking the veterans, does the surgery actually give you a freedom from the chains that obesity and this like food addiction surround you with? I mean, it completely controlled my life. It dictated every single choice I made was around food. What am I eating? When am I eating it? And then when you eat something you shouldn't be eating and you feel guilty about it. My whole life revolved around it. It was the same way like, I quit smoking years ago. And the first thing you do when you smoke when you wake up is have a cigarette, or if you're in the city, like they outlawed cigarettes in places, and anywhere you go, it's like, oh shit, I'm going somewhere I can't smoke, so I got to smoke now. Like cigarettes like dictated my whole life. It was the same way. It was food. It was like it just completely dictated me, and I don't feel that way anymore. And it's recently like I've only recently realized, hey, this is amazing. Like I am not thinking about food all the time anymore. Like I was constantly dictated by food, my food choices, and the guilt over the poor decision. Like I don't have that anymore. Like I just went away. I for the first time I did everything. I ate carbs. I had a drink. I did all these things. I was finally testing my sleep. It's 7 months.
Yeah, I'm bummed about that. I'm sorry. I had to cut in. I saw you had a drink. Damn it. That looked like fun.
Yeah, but it was great, and I didn't. It didn't set me off. It didn't trigger me. It didn't send me into like a tailspin, which I was worried about.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it, and that was it. Like it felt like, quote unquote, what I always thought a normal person's life would feel like.
Right.
They can eat, and I would always say they can eat whatever they want. And I feel that way now, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I hope if anybody's new and watching this and going to get the surgery, it was absolutely the greatest thing I ever did, and greatest decision I ever made.
When we eat crap, I feel horrible the next day. So I mean, it's almost like it fixes you where you don't even want that junk, because when you do, you just feel horrible the next day. It's almost like a hangover, but with food, because your body wants the protein and the healthy stuff. It doesn't want that junk.
Yeah, I mean, I took a bite out of a donut, and it was like the sweetest, most disgusting thing. I was like, it wasn't even worth it. But I took that bite.
I still love donuts.
I still love them, but I feel like crap when I eat them.
Right.
I'll take the shitty feeling later on and still eat the donut.
So that's the rub, right? So like when the problem is, and to Walter's point, I think, and because you're where you're at, Walter, I say stay the course, sir. Stay the course, because I think what happens is, like today, I'll give you a perfect example. I'll just own it. They have a bakery here in town that is known. It's a Swedish bakery, and they're like the shit. I mean, like you're talking about pasties, creme de la creme. Okay, like this is a religious experience. All right, let's just put it that way. So they're there, and like I have trained myself through the sleeve to like, oh well, I will cut a piece off of a single pastry. So I want to try that one. I want to try that one. I want to try that one. Okay, I will cut off a piece this big. The mental process, however, is like, oh, you fat fuck, you ate 3 of those things today, you piece of shit, you ate carbs and sugar, and like that shit's still going on at 1 year post goal, 2 years post op. Like that meant, and I gotta fix that because that shit's still there. So in that respect, not everybody gets past the mental piece. They still fight that battle, and I'll put it to the Haney's because they're kind of in the same boat to see where they land.
Yeah, I was gonna say Walter was saying the whole thing about he feels like he has sort of this control and this freedom, and I think for some people they do find. I think for myself I found that, but I think part of the control and the freedom I have as far as like cravings, I still don't get hungry. I'm one of the types that doesn't get hungry, so I think that has helped vastly with my being in control as far as my food choices go. But I will tell you right now, there are plenty of people who do not have the same control I do because they still get hungry, they still crave things, they still have issues with just issues with food. Like as far as quote unquote being a food addict, I didn't identify myself as a food addict before, and I don't now. And I think I don't struggle as much in that area. But I think people that do identify themselves as a food addict or binge eaters and things like that, I think no matter what you do, you're still going to struggle. You're going to have to tackle that mental part and get that under control first, because trust me, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, you can still eat not only more food, but you're still going to be able to eat a more variety of food. If you don't think that you can't still gain weight from the sleeve, and I know there's a lot of people out there, especially new people, think, well, how do you gain weight if you can only eat 3 ounces? Well, because, a bag of chips only weighs 6 ounces, and you can eat a whole bag of chips in one sitting pretty much, and that's 800 calories. So, you can graze your way back up to, your original weight, or never get to a weight because you're grazing all the time. So if people still want to binge eat, you can still do it. It's just not the volume before or the types of food you had before. But if people truly have a food addiction and binge eat, and you're addicted to eating ice cream or candy or cookies, whatever, you can still do that. You may get sick after, but you know what they say, that doesn't, getting sick afterwards, negative consequences does not cure people of their problems. Just like with alcohol. How many people drink alcohol, get sick the next day and swear, I'll never get drunk again, I'll never drink again, and they continue to do it because they are actually addicted. They're alcoholic. So, the negative consequences of your choices the night before aren't going to change, those choices. That's the problem. And the same thing with food. If you're addicted to whatever, chocolate, and you're eating chocolate all the time, and that's your crack, and the surgery may help you for a little while, but eventually you're probably going to try a piece of chocolate again, and you can just eat it, and you may be the type that you don't get sick, and you can eat a lot of chocolate. Well, then now what? Now you're like, well, shit, I had this surgery, I thought it was going to take care of that. Well, absolutely not. The famous saying is, they do surgery on your stomach, not your brain. So, it's really, to me, it's really the mental part is probably the biggest part. I mean, like Walter says, he's right. The surgery part is easy. The weight loss is easy. The post-op stuff, even though some people find it difficult, in general, it's pretty damn easy. It's the struggles you're going to have after that with getting back into normal eating. What are you going to, the choices you're going to make at 2 years out, 3 years out.
I don't think the mental part ever goes away, honestly. I notice what I eat more now than I ever did. Before surgery, I probably never paid attention to what I ate, because what did I care? Where now it's like you're more conscious of everything, and even at 4 years out, that never goes away. I mean, it's a battle you'll always pretty much fight.
I have to agree with you guys. I'm the same way. Like, I went out to lunch today for a coworker who's Cleveland, and I'm like, I'm gonna have shrimp. I'm gonna have this, but there was some brown rice on there. I'm like, oh, I'll have a little bit of the brown rice. Before I couldn't eat the brown rice after that many shrimp. Now I can. Mm-hmm. And I want it, but I get that feeling, that pressure feeling, and I stop immediately. I'm like, okay, that's it. Stop. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that was still a 600-calorie lunch versus a 300-calorie lunch. I mean, and I don't do it all the time. I get it. But the problem is you can do it all the time. I could go to lunch every day and eat 600 calories for lunch. That's not something that person with my metabolism who can work out 5 days a week, and I'm talking hardcore, and only eat 1,200 calories a day, I cannot be doing that every day because I will gain weight. It doesn't matter. Like I'm at 214. My lowest was 202. My average is about 207. I'm at 214. That's where my body's kind of like, that's my new set point. I don't know if that's because where it should be because I got a little bit of regain after a year, or if I've been fucking up. I really can't be honest with you. And that messes with my head, and I don't know if it's cortisol from stress or blah, 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 or a million other things. The bottom line, all those are excuses. I have to own it regardless, whether it's a number or a behavior. The number is really less relevant than the behavior. The behavior is what scares me, and I'm with you guys in that vote.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter like how you're doing it, and it's not. I mean, those are probably reasons, and like me, the reasons for my recent regain, is because I've been sitting on my ass for 2 years because I've had these surgeries, That's the reasons, and I've been doing boredom eating, whatever you want to call it, I'm sitting around the house all the time. But is it the excuse why I've gained weight? No. I mean, if I wanted to, I could have gotten my eating, been super, super strict. I could have found some way to work out more or whatever, I just haven't, That's the reason, but it's not the excuse. I mean, the excuse is because I've made poor choices in the past couple of years. I haven't been as vigilant, Phil. So,
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice. I just think that like I said, I did preface what I was saying by saying I'm only 7 months out because I totally get it. I know it's going to get harder once I can eat a lot more, and then it's going to derail you when, just like you said, Phil, when you can eat way more calories in a particular meal than you used to be able to get to. But I think for me, I think I'm so happy with how far I've come, and but at the same time, I'm completely dedicated to the process and to success, and I completely realize how easily you can screw this up. I mean, you could drink 1,200 calories in a day if you wanted to, or
in a day, shit.
You can drink more than that.
No, an hour, 1,000 calories.
Yeah, in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily drink 2,000 calories, right? I mean, and I'm not even talking about alcohol. If you're drinking like sugary shit, I mean, who knows?
Jim will show you how much you can drink at the Embassy Suites happy hour.
Yeah.
That's
We haven't even touched on that
Testing out
yet.
my transfer addiction theory.
Shots are your friend.
I'm trying to get my sea legs by then, so hopefully I'll be ready.
But no, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay, your feelings and your experience so far. I mean, I think it's great that you have that experience and that feeling so far. I think a lot of people have that same experience, that same feeling, and that same, how they feel as far as like, God, this is great, this is awesome, this is amazing, But I just want to make it clear that, any people that are new out there watching who haven't had surgery yet, that, absolutely that is not always the case with people. I mean, there are people who absolutely struggle from day one with their food addiction, their food choices. They're hungry all the time. I know people who've had to sleep who never lost their hunger. They're still hungry all the time.
Right.
So it's a very individual thing.
Yeah, that is a huge deal. I mean, I have to be honest. If I was as hungry as I used to be all the time, it would be a completely different experience. So I totally get that.
But I think
surgery does help.
Yeah, there's still hunger, like physical hunger, and there's hunger. Like that,
Right.
For me, that again, to Jim's point, everybody's journey is different, but that struggle of whether it's a real craving, like, hey, I lifted a shit ton of weights today. I lifted a shit ton of weights on Monday. I've changed it up based on some recommendations Pete made for me. I crave a lot more carby, sugary shit on those 2 days.
Yeah.
I have to fight that. I have to physically be like, don't eat this stuff. And sometimes I win that fight, and sometimes I don't. So, with all a billion other things at play, stress at work, stress at home, blah 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 blah. That's the excuse to Jim's point. Like you can justify it. Or is that a real reason? Like you're just because you were a fat kid you're a fat person your whole life. You're like, am I justifying it or is it real? I mean, do normal people who are going through these stressful situations have the same problem? Like, you just don't fucking know because you've never known anything but your thing, right?
Exactly.
So, like, I hate that. I bring the F word back to FatKings. That's what I do. So that's the struggle. So for you two guys who are killing it right now, just stay the course. Don't, because it's like, oh, I'll drink a little bit. I'll eat a little bit of, I'll have, this. Keep it to a piece of a donut. Keep it to a couple drinks. Don't make it like a piece of this donut, a piece of that donut, a piece of that donut. Because I want to try all the flavors. Just choose. Totally. Make a mental decision, and don't let the sugar don't recreate that sugar addiction that you had.
That's important.
Whatever it is.
I think that's probably the most important thing. Sorry, I know you want to say something, Andrew. I'm sorry, brother. I just wanted to say, when I said like the mental aspect, it is not like, oh, I don't have to struggle anymore. Like, I was at my niece's graduation party. They brought out a tray of like this home cooked macaroni and cheese that I was biting my hand like I mean, like, you're gonna do. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, but I think it's easier for me now because I realize I think I have a better handle on nutrition and what I'm supposed to be doing, and I think like without the hunger, I think the choices are easier to make. Let me just put it that way for myself. Like, if I'm being honest with myself, if I'm truly being honest, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Is this a craving, or do you need chips? Does anybody need chips? Or do you want chips? I mean, you know what I mean? Once but I think it's made my life easier to make the right decision. Let's just put it that way. That's what I mean. It's not like I don't think about those things anymore. I still have to make those choices, but I think it's made my life getting to that choice easier. That's really what I mean.
Right.
Now, I mean, two things that I'm really picking up on through this discussion, which is awesome. I'm picking up and learning so much just from this back and forth. It's great. One thing that I'm picking up from, first off, is that regardless of where you are in this process, whether you could be, if somebody's watching this who just had the surgery, or you're a veteran like Phil, or it's understanding that regardless of where you are learning to recognize yourself and your body even more with your food choices. That recognition has become critical. Now, where the mental game really picks up is, how do you react to that? What is the choice that you make to what you're learning and what your brain is telling yourself? Now, that is where that mental game really kicks in, more than what you've done with the surgery. So that's just something I've picked up. So if there's anything else that anybody else, if anybody else who's watching this afterwards, regardless of where you are in the surgery process, that mental game, that's where it really, really, really kicks in. Now, question, and this is a question I've been thinking of since probably about a half an hour ago, and it's just been burning. So this is a question for Phil, and this is a question for the Haneys. I mean, and even for Walter, if he wants to chime in. So we talk about this, veterans versus, like where Walter and I are, where we're kind of like newer-ish at this point. Where do you classify the veterans? Like, what classifies you? I mean, because Walter, he's almost a goal at this point. He's been killing it. Like, what would you classify somebody to be a quote-unquote veteran in the community?
Ladies first, of course.
Okay, so what I think... Oh, never mind.
Oh, ladies first, so Walter goes first. I wouldn't say, I don't know, not necessarily getting to goal would necessarily make you a veteran, because once you get to goal, you have to maintain and struggle. So I would say that I probably didn't consider myself a veteran until I probably hit about 3 years, because that was 2 years of maintaining. And, to me, the first 2 years was easy. Like, I could have that drink or that donut if I want and didn't gain weight, where when I hit that 3-year mark, it seemed like I couldn't do that no more without gaining weight. So to me, I think once you kind of get to that point where you've maintained, and then, I don't know, I would say that 3 years would be my guess.
And
to me, community, supposedly, to be medically, whatever,
for
supposed
medical,
to be 5 years.
The medical definition.
So technically, I'm not a veteran.
Success, quote unquote, of success is 5 years of maintaining your weight. But to me, I guess a veteran would be, there's different definitions, I guess. I mean, there's the veterans who've gone through the process and are a year out. They've done really well. They've made the mistakes. They know what to do and what not to do. And they definitely have the information and have the experience to then, sort of, to foster somebody who's just starting the process, right? And to say, oh, well, when I was early out, I did this or I did that, right? And then, like she said, there's the veterans who are further out that are not only have they've been successful and they've maintained and they've been doing this for more than a couple of years. They've been doing it for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. I'm almost 6 years out. So that veteran is somebody who's not only have they've gone through the experiences. I mean, I've got the experiences I've gone through so far as like early out. It's so long ago, I don't remember half that shit. To be honest with you, I don't remember like what was I eating. Somebody asked me, "What are you eating in the mushy phase or whatever?" I'm like, "Oh, shit, I don't know. I have to go back and look at like what paperwork said." I honestly don't remember that shit, But and what is your definition of someone who's successful? Also, I mean, because there are, I know some people who I would consider them a veteran, but I may not look at them. I mean, if you look at them as far as the weight loss, they may have not been super successful as far as they've gained or they've never got to goal, but they still have the experience, they still have the knowledge. So there's lots of, I guess, different definitions of what a quote unquote a veteran is as far as that. But like I said, I think somebody who's gone through the experience has done pretty well, knows what they're talking about, isn't trying to give you some bullshit or just one side of the story too. Like I try not to listen to somebody who they only will preach what their doctor told them to do, because, okay, well, that's what your doctor's opinion is, and that's what you're told to do, but there's, 1,000 different doctors out there going to tell you a different plan, so.
Absolutely.
I've seen people in this journey do, not to skirt your question, I will get to it, but I've seen people do really stupid shit. I've seen people who probably didn't need the surgery. They could have gone other ways. They just chose to do the surgery as a shortcut. I've seen people who have taken the sleeve and pushed it to its extreme limits. Most of the people are on this friggin' video right now. I mean, I've seen all of that. So, like, for me, my veterans were Sarah, Sarah, and Kirk, and Mike, the VSG Bear, and those guys. They were, like, there by the time I came in, and they mentored. I try to give that back from my perspective, but then I look at somebody like Jim, who's been doing this for 6 years, and I'm like, shit, I hope I can do this as well as Jim for 6 years. I've seen how hard this year has been. I started at 214-ish back in July, and I hit my 210 goal, and immediately I bumped back up. Like it just happened. I didn't mean for it to, it just did. And I saw myself get down to 202. I've seen myself get back up to 214. I'm stronger. I can explain that away. Is that strength? Is it? I don't know. According to the metrics I'm using, I can't even really tell anymore. Like, I think it's the amount of hubris that you bring to the experience. The fact that you are willing to realize that, hey, you've been at maintenance for a year, 2 years, 3 years. You know what? You don't know shit. Your body is my body's different than Jim's body. Is different than Andrew. Is different than Walter. I will always be the fat kid metabolism in this new body. Now, I can let that. I have to constantly be, on top of that, or I can get distracted and take my eye off the prize, and I can gain 4 pounds this year, and 4 pounds next year, and 4 pounds the year after that, and 4 pounds the year or more. And it scares the shit out of me. I'm still as a veteran is somebody who's just. I think once you reach that point where the tool stops doing the majority of the work for you, and I'm not saying you're not doing work, you're doing work. Right. But when the tool stops doing what it was designed to do, and you can start doing stupid shit to yourself, that's when you become a veteran, because now you have to choose to take the mental piece and put it to work for you, or because you don't have the physical tool anymore. You have the physical tool, but it's not to the degree you had it before. So that's just my definition.
I agree.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definition.
Well, yeah, that completely makes sense. Both from both of you. I mean that's kind of what I kind of thought of at the same time. Where there's not obviously a specific designation. Once you reach this point, you're considered a veteran. I think I think for most people it is once you reach a healthy level of maintaining to where you've really learned about yourself, and I mean, I think what, like you had said, with being several years out and getting to the point where you have to then choose, where it's beyond the sleeve itself or the whatever tool, the tool. Let's put it that way. Whatever surgery you had, learning about that to the point where you now have it's all mental than just the sleeve or the pouch or whatever you've had. That becomes secondary, and it becomes strictly mental about making the right choices, because you can definitely go up or down like that. That to me then becomes what kind of constitutes you as a more of a veteran than, say, somebody who's newer in the community.
Yeah, but even to that point though, you have to look at it this way also. You can choose good, bad, or indifferent from week one. If you choose to, there's a lot of people who are going to make the poor choices, and like Phil said, maybe they shouldn't have had surgery. But there are people out here who are going to make good choices and going to make poor choices. I think the only thing really what I tell people, like for me, the surgery, what it's really done for me is it's taken care of a lot of the physiological reasons why I got hungry, and it's taking care of the volume of food I can eat at one time, which has allowed me, because of that, has also allowed me to make better choices. Like Walter said, it's easier for him to choose now because he doesn't physically get hungry. He knows that, he can't eat that much and things like that, And that's definitely the tool part that people always talk about, right? But as far as making choices, because there's veterans out there who are good and, have done well, and they're still going to make poor choices. Like I said, half the things I eat, aren't always the best choice, But the difference is I can choose to eat that or not choose to eat it. It's much easier for me because I don't have the physical, actual biological response of the insulin response to my body and all these other issues that made me hungry, like crazy, like hungry, right? And you just crave carbohydrates, like Phil was saying, constantly. It makes it easier for me that way. But like I said, as far as like still choosing to eat something or not to eat something, that's on me, for the most part. It does help, but for the most part, I think for most people, it's still going to be on you at some point. But those choices were there before I had surgery. Those choices were there right after I had surgery, And it's like, this just helps me to make a choice, like I said, even if good, bad, or indifferent, I can make it. I can stop myself now before I just blindly throw food down the gullet, and I can go, okay, do I really need this? Why don't I eat something else a little bit healthier first, and if I still want it after, eat a bite or two of it, But it really takes that, to me, I would say that first year of training yourself, that's why it's called the honeymoon phase. You really need to take that first year, and that's why Phil was saying, use that first year and stick to being strict. Like I said, as much as you see me screw around and do stupid shit on here, like eating donuts and stuff, this is a perspective of someone who's, 5 years out, and being a year out is a lot different. You really have to use this quote-unquote honeymoon phase to your advantage. And it's not just like Phil was saying, the physical, the part that the actual surgery does for you. It's also the mental part of training yourself, retraining yourself how to eat and to make better choices. It's all these aspects play into how your success is going to be and how easy or how difficult your maintenance is going to be.
So Jim has 5 years of data. Sorry, Walter, I apologize. Jim has 5 years of data to say, hey, I can have a donut, and no, I'm not going to go off the fucking cliff or gain 15 pounds. I'm good. I can have a donut once every X weeks, days, whatever. He knows that. He's got that. The trick is you have to really be careful when you're trying to figure out where does me fit into that. Like, can I have a donut every month? Can I have a donut every 3 months? Who knows? Maybe for you have one donut, and you gain 2 pounds. I don't know. It's kind of strange. Sorry, Walter. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, for me, I started working on the mental game as early as possible, and that was because of the veterans. And I just want to say thank you guys again. You mentioned hubris, Phil, and I think that's like such a huge thing in this community. You have got to you got to be humble, and you got to pay attention to the veterans. Listen to the veterans. Pay attention to what they're telling you, because honestly, from day one, that's what I did. I watched you guys. You and TJ, Kirk, VSG Kirk, Tanya, Lessa Sarah, all the veterans, and I opened my ears and I paid attention, and I didn't think that I knew everything. I never once thought that, I really, really pay attention to the veterans, and I want to thank you guys again for sticking around, because, I'm already like I made it. It's like I've been making YouTube videos for a year now. I had my surgery 7 months ago, and I'm already feeling like I pretty much said everything there is to say. I paid it forward. I think people are, but it's important that you guys stick around, because you really do give us a perspective that we need. Because there are plenty of times along this journey, and like even right now, though, when I know it's going to sound like, you're like a teenager who thinks they know everything, like at this point. And your world is going to be completely different in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. And that's why you guys being around is really important, because it seems to be cyclical, even in the YouTube community. Like people come in, they make the videos, half of them just fall off the wayside. Some of them you don't even know whether they had the surgery or not. They're just gone. You don't hear from them. And there's only a handful, of veterans that are still making videos, and you guys are really, really, really important, because we need that perspective. So I just want to say thank you for that.
I'll back you up on that, Walter. I feel the same. Like when I see Jim say something, both the Haney's actually, or I see Tanya, who, like, I have a direct line to Tanya, being my twin sister separated from birth. I humble myself to that knowledge. Like, to your point, Walter, and I've seen you do it too, so I'm gonna give you props. You definitely do humble yourself, Walter. Like you and I have had private conversations where, you know some stuff on the inside, and I've seen you absorb that and take it in and really be like, at least process it, at least take and consider it. And so when I hear something from Jim or I hear something from Tanya, I stop and I listen. I stop and I process that, whatever I'm doing. Like, maybe I want to think about that, because they've proven themselves. They've given and given and given and given for so long that you're like, they're doing this because they're trying to share their pain and their challenges, so you don't have to go through that same pain and challenge that they went through. So I back you up 100% on that. Yep.
Did you guys find my long lost YouTube tapes? Because I haven't made one yet. But
no, but you've been on a lot of shows, Jim.
You have been on a lot of shows, Jim. Yeah, that's
I've been blessed to be a guest on several shows, and I think.
And where did that all start? Right here.
That started on a little known show called the FatKings.
No, but I mean, even on the first show that you did with us, I mean, in that amount of time, you disseminated a ton of information that was, I mean, on point and really important, and you've done that everywhere you go. You have a great way of making your points, and they're good points, and they're usually backed up with actual facts as opposed to just bullshit. So, I mean, that's priceless information as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And it's his personal mission to educate the world. Since I've been out of work, we have went to like 500 support groups. We've had to hit everyone in Georgia because it's his mission to educate the world.
Called paying it forward, man.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It's truly his passion.
Well, you're doing a great job, brother.
Well, hey, I mean, we've pretty much disregarded anybody who's commented, because there have been quite a few over here. I mean, Tanya.
This has been a very subdued show. It's very informative and subdued. There's not as much shenanigans going on.
No, not as much as I was expecting.
I brought it down.
I'm loving it all regardless.
Phil made it all serious and shit like he usually does. He brings the depression to all his videos.
That's right.
And he told me Phil's on the show. You can't drink. You got to behave.
I told her she has to be serious because Phil's on the show.
I can't drink. What the hell? This thing's empty.
I have this too. It's terrible. 32 ounces gone.
But no, I mean, Tanya's commented a few times on here. She actually just mentioned recently, she said, well, going back to the donut piece, because she says she used to think that her skinny mom was nuts for cutting a piece of a donut, but now that's her life. So I mean, you realize you
Yeah.
kind of develop that, and you learn to work with that. But she also just said, she completely agrees with using the first year to get the good foundation, to lose the weight and creating the good habits. Which I mean, that's exactly it. You really have to learn about yourself and really get into the better habits that you need as a foundation.
If you don't do that mental work, though, I will tell you, and I'm still struggling with this. It's definitely my struggle right now. You'll eat a piece of a donut, and you will still feel like the same piece of fat ass shit that you were before when you ate 5 donuts. Like, it's weird, man. I can't. Like, that mental piece still kind of floats around. You got to combat that. I mean, at least
That
for
guilt
me.
thing. Were you raised Catholic, Phil?
There was a little bit of that in there.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot I understand the Catholic guilt.
There's the Catholic guilt, man.
It's like,
Yeah.
what am I doing to my, like, I had to stop and take stock the other day, and you guys will kind of see this in my 1 year goal video, past goal video, if you will. Like, the shit I can do with my body now is insane, and I don't ever focus on that. I still focus on the stupid fact that, oh, I didn't eat that donut today. I didn't need to eat that piece of donut. I didn't need to eat that piece of pastry or whatever. I didn't need to. I could have had a protein bar or whatever. Like, that shit's still going on, and I got to get a handle on that, and I know I do. So.
And TJ is always telling you, why are you focused on, you've done amazing. You're at goal or below goal. Look at what you can do physically, but yet you focus on the scale, and and it's just like that's going to be the hardest part for you.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone has to figure out what they're going to struggle with, and you are going to struggle with the guilt. You are going to struggle with those old feelings of being the fat kid and beating yourself up. Because to me, I don't beat myself up when I have something. I eat something, I move on. I
threw
don't
the
have an
scale
issue
away
with it.
and just go by the way my clothes fit.
Yeah.
That damn scale will say a pound up, and you did not gain a pound in 1 day's time. So you just have to.
It's a head
let
game
that
thing. Like I
bother
said, that's going to be your struggle. And
I agree with you. There's no and there's no. Like, this is going to be my problem. That I can rationalize it all, but then I start thinking,
right.
Am I rationalizing it away? Like, it's the bullshit. That's I agree with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
I think I'm kind of somewhere in between Jim and Phil, because and I think that's kind of a good place to be, because you want to give yourself a little bit of freedom, but at the same time not let it go on for too long. Mm-hmm. And you need that Phil voice to come in and go, I can't believe we're doing this. This is getting out of control. Like, so a little bit of both seems to be like where I'm at right now anyway in my journey. Because if I do eat something, I still am like, I'm a fat guy. That's what I do.
You would want to be in between Jim and Phil, wouldn't you, bitch?
Yes, I would.
Being between these two amazing bald-headed dudes is quite an amazing place to be.
That's right. Lots of man sweat dripping right off.
Oh my God. I need a minute. Somebody say something.
Somewhere Kirk just had a little shiver.
Yeah. Well, it is. According to Kirk, it is the summer of first. So being between you guys for me would be a summer of first.
It doesn't have to be the only first you have.
But the best one. But I think anyway, just getting back to the mental thing, I think you want to try to start as early as possible. I know for me that made a big difference. Pre-op, like I was really trying to get myself mentally focused. Like I said though, I had a huge family trauma that kind of smacked the shit out of me and got me on a focus, laser sharp focus that I've never had before. I mean, I've had it before, but I never kept it to this level. Like I would lose 75, I'd lose 100 pounds, and then slowly start, you incorporating a little bit more, and then you eventually you run off the rails. But you want to try to get that mental game going as soon as possible. I agree with that for sure.
So I think if anything that you're taking from this is from tonight, even though this is supposed to be kind of shenanigans and celebratory, but you know what? It got very serious, but in a really, really, really good way, because for me especially, I mean, I'm sure for Walter as well. I mean, regardless of where you are in this process, there's still so much to learn. And honestly, I mean, I picked up on so much tonight that it's been a very, very, very big help. So I mean, in that regards, I couldn't appreciate it more.
I got a question for the quote unquote veterans of all of you guys. For what I'm noticing like now is like I'm really living on the NSVs, right? Like I'm really living on them. Like, I'm getting compliments left and right. I mean, everybody I see is saying, "Holy crap!" Like I keep making a joke. I'm going to legally change my name to Holy Crap because that's what everybody calls me now. Holy crap, you look great, right? So, but eventually, and I learned this in the past when eventually when people those things die out. So when you get that far out, you're 5 years out. Christian, you're 4 years out, right?
Mhm.
Christian, and Phil, what are you like 2, 3 years out now?
I'll be 2 years from surgery next month. Yeah.
Okay, so as those NSVs start to run out, what motivates you anymore? Like what lifts you? Because when you don't get those, like my biggest NSV was getting complimented by a gay guy a couple of weeks ago. The gay dude at my local
Oh,
supermarket.
those still don't go away from me, bro. I still get them.
Yeah. No. I don't care.
And it's
Man,
just as
woman.
amazing as the first time it happened.
But
That's
that's
right.
how you know when a gay man compliments you, you know you're doing something right. As a man, and then you know you're working, you're doing something right. But seriously, what do you feed off of anymore when those NSVs run out?
I mean, I get that gay man compliment at least once a week when 50 Shades is going, so I'm good. But no, you're right. No, Walter. I mean, there's a piece of truth to that. Like, you still do crave you do want that compliment. You do want that. You still crave it. There's an empty spot when you don't get it, and it does die off. So I think if you want a kayak, go make plans to get in a kayak and go do it. If you want to ride a horse, make plans to go do that shit. If you want to ride an ATV, what the frick ever it is, ATV, snow ski, water ski, what you have to actively put those things in your path to keep giving yourself that reinforcement, because eventually you're right, the external reinforcement kind of dies off. Nobody knows you were fat before. Nobody, as you meet new people, they're not going to be like, holy shit, and give you that little bump. So I say you got to be very proactive with creating your own NSVs, if you will, things you've always wanted to do, kind of things.
Sage advice. Good advice.
Yep, I agree. I mean that's why Tanya and TJ put together that NSV retreat thing. There was. I mean, obviously, we couldn't really participate because we were both crippled at the time. But things like that, there were people there who they were just like, it was amazing because they're like, yeah, that was so awesome because they never would have been able to do some of those things before. So that's a real good thing to motivate you, is to find something new to challenge yourself, to tackle, to get sort of that feedback, that high from your accomplishments, more than just the weight and the looks part and the losing the weight part. And eventually, like everybody knows, the scale's eventually going to stop moving too, and that was real motivating. I would get on the scale, and sometimes I would lose 12 pounds in a week easily. Well, that goes away. So, you're just going to kind of be staying at a 1 or 2 or 5 pounds fluctuation up and down. So you really have to find, and all the cool things, like I said, being able to fit in booths, but also just like the clothes, like going, I went and got a whole new wardrobe, so like after you buy all the new clothes, well, now you kind of like, okay, now what, it's like, okay, I can fit in these clothes, I got these clothes, I'm wearing them, and it's cool, but, so all of those things are eventually going to go away. So like Phil said, you really kind of have to find something else, to keep that high, if that's what you really want. I mean, I like the NFTs and I like the compliments, but I guess to me it wasn't necessarily about all of those things. It was also about, just like I said, just doing normal everyday things, getting back to like living life, and really just sort of living in that moment and realizing that 5 years ago I wouldn't have been able to do this. I wouldn't have all these things. I guess I'm very humble and grateful. I live in gratitude most of the time, because it's like, wow, what just getting up and being able to tie my shoes comfortably. It happens every day. I have these little NSVs, whatever you want to call them. Every day I have the same fucking ones. And it's like, honestly, for a lot of them, it doesn't get old. When to this day, about the booth thing, I'll look at her sometimes and I'm going, I don't know if I can fit in there still, at this size. Right. And I'm like, I walk in and she's like, well, yeah, you can. And it's like, there's, 4 inches of room. But it's like, I still look at it and go, wait a minute, I'm not 600 pounds anymore. Of course I can fit into it. But I still sometimes hesitate. But it's like, when I do see it, it's like, oh, look, there's all this room. It's kind of still cool to me. So,
me too.
I think some of those things honestly never get old. You'll see people posting all the time, pulling the airline seatbelt. You know, they've got 12 inches or 14 inches of room, and they're like, you know, this never gets old, because a lot of times those things don't get old, but they're not quite as motivating, I guess, or as you won't get that high, you know, that instant like, wow, this is, you know, as you did the first time, you know.
Yeah.
But you just really had to find something else to sort of focus on or to accomplish, you know.
No, I agree, and I think you mentioned something that I look forward to doing at some point, which is the airline seat belt, because the last time I was on an airplane, it really sucked. So I look forward to that not being an issue. Tanya just commented as well, because she kind of sent, you know, kind of chimed in with a lot of the same. She said, for me, it's not the decline of the compliments, it's the decline of the scale changes and the sizes going down. Those were seriously motivating for her, and they just stopped. Yeah. That can be really hard to lose that kind of weekly high that you're used to.
I got a question for Phil. I know we're running a little bit late, but I have a question for Phil.
Oh, this is still early. If it's 50 Shades of Maintenance, it's
still
true.
Like, yeah,
exactly.
We're not 4 hours yet, are we?
Right?
But Phil, here's my question for you. I'm going to say, okay, so you're 2 years out now, right?
Yeah, pretty quick.
All right, so I'm going to say, let's just say at 3 years out.
Okay.
Do you have a definition for yourself of for you at 3 years out, what would be in your mind a failure?
Yes, but I don't know that it's sane. In other words, you know, like if I were to see another.
It's you, Phil. How could it be sane?
Right, exactly. So if I were to see another 5 pounds, let's say that I start this year again at 314, like I did last year. Or, sorry, 214. See, I still do that shit. I still put the 3. That shit never goes away.
Stop saying that 3, isn't it?
Guys, so even when I go to the gym and put it into the computer on the treadmill, I start with a 3 still. It's like, oh.
And then you're like, fuck, I'm burning a lot of calories all of a sudden.
What the hell? You know, so you're the fastest fat man we've ever seen. You said this to corporate. No, I think if like it was 321 at the end of next year, and then the next year it was 326. Like I would be shitting myself, even though I'm sorry, 2 again. I did it. I meant 2. I really, really did. But like if I saw that constant growth, I'd be like, well, shit, it's only a matter of time till I'm back to where I was. You know, like that would terrify me. Yeah. Even if it was something. Even if I knew, like, I was as big as my buddy John, which we've talked about Roach on many times, but if I was as stacked as he was, that weight would still freak me out, even if I knew it wasn't fat. I don't know why. And that's something, again, to Jim's point, I really need to work on. That's my goal for this year, is to, you know, from July to July of this year, I got to start getting the head game right. I really do. This is not helping me. It's probably hurting me. It's probably making my weight go up. Because I'm stressing and I'm eating stupid shit and I'm not doing the things I need to be doing and I'm not celebrating the victories and I'm causing this shit to happen to myself.
And that goes to like TJ's point he always used to make was, you know, it's like, do you ever just stop and just like look around and go, holy shit, look what I can do. I can do. You know, I remember you talking about like being able to go all day with your kids and do stuff and not come home and just collapse and feel like shit and then you're short with everybody because you're tired already and you feel like crap, you know, and things like that. It's like, have you ever just, you know, you need to like, I guess, really get into the mindset of really just stopping and appreciating where you're at, what you've accomplished. And, you know, you've heard this 1,000 times from TJ, I'm sure, you know, because I know he gives you shit for it all the time on 50 Shades. Right. So, you know, but that's, you know, because that's always going to be your problem is, you know, it's like the constant, and it's not just that, it's like the guilt and the beating yourself up, and it's like you're going back to when you were a kid, you know, when you were the fat kid and you ate something and, you know, and then you felt guilty for eating it or whatever, or, you know, it's just, and I don't know, you know, because we've all had so many different experiences, you know, I grew up as a fat kid too, you know, and I have some of those issues still, but.
Well, again, it's different coming from you, Jim. It sounds stupid, and I know TJ would give me shit if he was here, but, like, TJ admittedly was a fat lazy. He was a lazy fat. He'll admittedly tell you, I got fat because I was lazy. That was never me. That was probably never you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is another
I played sports
component.
all my life and everything, you know, and
Yeah.
mine was due to, like I said, a lot of times after I became diabetic, I started injecting insulin, not just insulin, like tons of insulin. I had insulin-resistant issues and storing lots of extra insulin, which put on fat, just made the cycle, hunger and everything. And so that's when I really started gaining a lot of weight. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It sounds different coming from you because and I know we go back to this lifetime fat thing, but there is a mental component that I cannot explain to somebody who has not been through it. I don't have to explain to you. I don't have to explain to Tanya. I don't have to explain.
I wasn't lifetime, and I
She's
agree.
not a lifetime
There is
fatty.
a difference in the way
Yeah,
I
we
look
talk
at
about
things
it all the
versus way
time.
he looks at
And
things.
it's up here, and it's a metabolism thing for me. I'm sure it's a metabolism thing for me. I'm 100% sure of it. But it does resonate differently coming from you than TJ, because I'm like, TJ, look, I'm not saying your journey was easy. I'm not saying the work you did was any less hard. It was like equally hard. 100% support you 100%. I would never take anything away from his journey, ever, ever, ever. And I know that there's been some confusion there between him and I in the past, so I want to make that clear. It's just a different journey, and like one that I can't explain to somebody who hasn't been through the same thing. You know what I mean?
And even to your point, it's not just that; it's the life experience that he's lived for 40 years. It's the life experience you've lived for 40 years. You know, it's like I tell people what shapes us is when we were kids, the experiences we had growing up. You know, her experience was very different. You know, she was a normal size. She was popular in school. She had, for me to be popular in school, which I think I was fairly popular. It was the funny fat guy. It was also the guy who was on the football team and did that. I was the big guy. I wasn't fat. I was big because I played football and things like that. So it's it's a very different experience for someone like TJ. I'm assuming he grew up fairly normal size, so his life experience is very different. And it's just like I explain to her all the time. She doesn't understand if I say something. Well, you didn't have that experience. You weren't teased for being fat, or and it's just she may have been teased, but it would have been maybe for something different. It's just a different experience, and that's what really, as adults, shapes us and really sort of dictates a lot of, here you are, you're 40, right? And
44 this year.
Your fat kid feelings are dictating the choices you're making and the feelings you have at this age,
That's true. That is true. Yeah. That is true.
All right, we're getting the high sign.
Show, isn't it?
We got the red light. I saw the red light come on. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not going any further.
A note from our sponsors.
Quest brings a new mint chocolate chip bar.
Oh,
I keep waiting for Quest to send me some free shit because I talk about how awesome they are all the time, and they have sent me shit yet. I'm still waiting for my free shitty whatever flavor of the month that is, mint or some bullshit. Trying to copy mint or what is it?
Oreo.
Thin mint cookies and shit.
Oreo.
Come on.
Dude,
try them side by side. That's what I will say. Try them side by side. You tell me if that shit tastes anything like a fucking Thin Mint Girl Scout cookie. I'm calling bullshit if you say it does.
But there's one bar that I feel like they just snuck in there. I feel like this bar cannot be only 190 calories. There's no way this bar is even good for you. I cannot.
Which one is it?
It's the white chocolate raspberry. I cannot conceive that thing is under.
I'm not a huge fan of that one either. And here's the thing: is early out. So I tried my first Quest bar probably 4 early on in the journey because it was at one of those seminar type things where it was all the people were there and they had samples. So they only had maybe 5 different flavors up for us to try. And I remember thinking, okay, well, this is pretty cool. I remember eating it, but I remember going on the internet looking shit up. And at that time, they were being sued for their nutritional content. Whether it was, I don't think everything ever came of it, but I knew they were being. If you look up Quest bars, there was a lawsuit one time that their nutritional stats were not correct. I don't believe they were. I don't believe that anything came of that lawsuit, but I do know at one time there was a lawsuit saying that the protein content wasn't correct and also the carbohydrate content wasn't correct and possibly the calories. It wasn't super way off. Okay, these are 400 calories and they're putting down the 150 or whatever. But it was off by 25% or something like that, and the carb content was supposedly off. But I don't buy into this whole bullshit net carb shit for a lot of things. I've never been one of those ones that bought into that. So that's why I have a problem with some of these bars that say, oh, they're only 3 net carbs and stuff like that because of the sugar alcohols. And yeah.
I was just gonna say Jim would appreciate. All I had for dinner tonight was Oreo, so
Oreo Quest bar.
I had a Oreo Quest bar, and I always think of that damn video that Phil and TJ made with the guy dancing.
That's all TJ. He did a great
That's a
job.
classic. Man. That's a classic.
Oh,
Classic FatKings right there.
that is truly a classic. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I guess we better start wrapping it up.
Yeah, we're gonna start turning into a 50 Shades episode here. We're gonna go until like midnight.
I brought the gray. You guys just need to bring the rest. So.
Well, I just want
We got the 50-year-old almost.
Yeah, I'm the 50.
I wanted to give everybody a chance. FatKings is going to take a little hiatus. 50 Shades is on hiatus right now, right, Phil?
Correct. Yeah, we're doing like 1 show a month for the summer. That's it.
So are you?
One show per month.
You want to plug the next show, or you don't know yet?
Don't know yet, and I can tell you when it's not going to be. When it's not going to be when I'm out of town, so it'll be probably earlier in July than later.
Okay.
Or when I'm moving.
And the Haneys have a reality show coming up on E, right? Isn't that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Living the isopure life.
Oh.
I'm waiting for the 50 Shades the big blockbuster season premiere when TJ comes back. When's that gonna happen?
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I have no knowledge of this.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I have no clue. It'll be a big surprise to me as you guys.
It's
But yeah,
gonna
no,
be,
we'll. Oh, go
think
ahead, Walter.
I think it's going to star Ernest Borgnine, Jan Michael Vincent, Peter Cushing.
And Count Dooku, God, he just passed away. God, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, what's his name? Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, yes.
All right, Andrew, take it away, brother.
No, and I was just gonna kind of say, yeah, we'll be off here for a couple of months, but we'll definitely be kicking back. Probably sometime around, I would say, late August, give or take. I mean, we'll post every now and then on Facebook, and we'll definitely once we get kind of a good date towards the end of the summer, because we definitely want to kick back off when we get closer to OH. So, because we definitely want to. We're looking forward to that. Finally get to meet the Haneys, and we all get to kind of hang out. And to me, that's what it's all about, regardless of what they have going on. To me, the two things that OH is doing that I'm looking forward to is the costume, basically the Halloween party. They call it a costume party, and the fashion show, because Walter and I are actually going to be in it.
We're working the catwalk, baby.
That's right.
Sexy.
Start practicing your walk in those 6-inch stilettos, boys.
I'm working on
plenty of
my blue steel.
Blue steel. Merman, Dad.
But yeah, no, we'll definitely be we'll be back in post. We'll start doing videos again here sometime around August, I would think. So
I don't know. I mean, am I going to be too skinny for FatKings soon, guys? I mean, tell the truth, Bill. We used to break your balls.
Nah, you can stay as long as when Andrew and both of you guys are at goal, then you have to freaking start picking new people. So
basically, it's up to me now. Then the pressure's on me.
Pressure's all on Andrew. That's right.
Well, I mean, if I get back into the gym, who knows what's going to happen by the end of the summer?
Right,
so
that's right.
Sounds good. Well, I want to say thanks again to everybody for coming out. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome sauce.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is definitely awesome. I appreciate it. You know what? I don't know about you, Walter, but I think we should go out. Seeing as Phil's here, we should go out with the old ending. What do you think?
Yeah, Phil. Why don't you take us out? Come on.
Take us out, man.
I can do this. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to FatKings for FatKings Friday on Thursday, which we all love. And make the most out of your summer. Do some shit you don't think you can do. At least try. What's the worst case? You're right. You can't do it still. Boo-hoo. That won't be any bad. Otherwise, remember, it's good to be the king.
All right.